week, the Justice Department filed a motion that would force Apple to comply with an FBI request to unlock the iPhone used by the San Bernardino terrorist. Apple CEO Tim Cook took his fight to ABC News and said the company would take this case to the Supreme Court if necessary.
Can the government compel Apple to write software that we believe would make hundreds of millions of customers vulnerable around the world, including the U.S., and also trample civil liberties that are at the basic foundation of what this country was made on? If a court can ask us to write this piece of software, think about what else they could ask us to write. Maybe it's an operating system for surveillance. Maybe it's the ability for the law enforcement to turn on the camera. I mean, I don't know where this stops.
It's worthwhile to remember that the U.S. government has suffered the worst database breaches to date. Cook says that if his company designs new software, that the bad guys will find it and use it.
This case is an awful case. There is no worse case than this case. But there may be a judge in a different district that feels that this case should apply to a divorce case. There may be one in the next state over that thinks it should apply in a tax case. Another state over it might should apply in a robbery. And so you begin to say, wait a minute, this isn't how this should happen.
But what are the chances that a favorable court ruling would open the door to law enforcement cases asking for relief? FBI Director James Comey told the House Judiciary Committee it was possible.
I do think that it is potentially, whatever the judge's decision is in California, and I'm sure it'll be appealed no matter how it ends up, will be instructive for other courts. And there may well be other cases that involve the same kind of phone and the same operating system. What the experts have told me is the combination, here's where I'm going to get well out of my depth, of a 5C and this particular operating system.
While Apple may be complaining now, in 2010 they sought law enforcement's help when Apple lost a prototype iPhone. Authorities searched the offices of a Gizmodo reporter that dissected the phone and put its findings on the internet. It's also important to point out that the smartphone giant has censored apps, submitted to security audits, and has moved local user data to Chinese state-owned servers. Clearly, Apple wants to do business with China's 1.3 billion people who are not protected by the same Bill of Rights as U.S. consumers. On Thursday, Apple filed court papers urging a judge to overturn the order requiring the tech giant to unlock the iPhone.
Wow, great story there, Kimberly. Kimberly joins us here at the desk, and we have a difference of opinion on this one. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. First, I want to just kind of, point out that tech companies are saying that this is really a fight over the surveillance state. What they're saying that they want to have some sort of legislation put in place to get them covered.
That's what the technology companies
That's what they say, exactly. And
is this an issue of public safety, though? We're talking about terrorists who may have contacted other people. We just want to find out who they were in contact with.
And if you talk to high-tech experts, they'll already tell you that they have access to that information, and they're doing it quietly.
Who has access?
The government's working with Apple and with other tech firms to make sure that they're getting this information. What you're seeing with Apple is, they want to kind of cover themselves, because when we sign up, we have the privacy and all of that. So they want to cover the behinds on this as well, and they really want Congress to get involved and update the codes.
Now, Kimberly, if you can make this clear for me, are we talking just one phone and logging into it? Cracking the password on it?
Well, there's more to that, because they, all of the phones, whether it's Samsung or an iPhone, they have particular software. So what they're asking
each individual phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all have the same software in our phones if we're all up to date, per se. So to crack in, they would have to rewrite some of that code for the particular phone, and that could be used for any Apple 5C phone that they're looking at. So when the next model comes out, they would have to write new code to keep up with the law. If that's the law that the congressmen and senators would like to pass and have a president sign. But you're looking at companies trying to protect themselves, and the argument that Apple's making is they think that this should be a public fight where everyone in the United States has a say in this, not necessarily the safety.
Now, does it matter? It wasn't Farouk's phone, correct? It was owned by his employer? It was his employer's phone. Okay.
It was absolutely.
Don't they have a say in terms of access to it?
Well, if they don't know the code to get in, they don't know the code. It's my understanding that
I'm
FBI,
thinking
yeah.
employer would have some sort of way to find out what the code is.
Well, when we plug our phones in, everything gets backed up to the iCloud, so, we don't know if that happened. And you have to remember, these phones were destroyed, and the FBI had to try to bring those, get whatever they could off the
Okay.
destroyed
And one
phones.
final thought, I agree with a lot of people say this process should have been kept private. There's no reason it should
Absolutely.
be out in the public.
100%.
Everyone's having this huge debate about it.
Exactly, it should be, and in other cases, trust me, they are working behind
All
the
right.
scenes.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us.